Hi guys, Taz Sif here with Walk and Talk Cricket. Today we've got a special guest, so it's got Tarun Nethula. Hi Tarun.
Hi Tess.
Tarun is a former New Zealand international and originally he was born in Hyderabad and spent his early childhood in India. So today's episode we'll talk about India's World Cup squad and their chances after obviously they've lost one game to Pakistan. So we'll talk through with Tarun about India's chances and the team composition. So your thoughts on the team, first of all, the squad, Tarun?
Look, I think they are missing an all-rounder, and that probably means that their lower order probably doesn't necessarily have that depth, and when you get exposed like they did this morning, they can't really have a chance to fight back.
Very cool. So Pandya obviously is playing as a genuine batsman, I see.
So they say. I don't know. I'm not necessarily convinced if he justifies selection purely as a batsman. As an all-rounder, absolutely, but just as a batsman, I think in hindsight they probably could have considered Ishan Kishan their only other batting option.
Very cool. So in terms of the squad, obviously they're carrying a lot of bowlers in the squad. The original squad has seven bowling options. Maybe if you consider all-rounders, they've got about 8 or 9 bowling options. Do you think that's one too many, or?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, if you consider any potential injuries or loss of form, they've only really got Ishan Kishan to kind of fall back on, and Shardul Thakur, who's an all-rounder, who now I suppose might come into the frame if Hardik Pandya is injured.
Yep. Very cool. Just a question from Pakistani perspective. Obviously, Shikhar Dhawan, I know like he's been out of favour, but he captained India on Sri Lanka tour recently with young team. But like from Pakistan's perspective, because he was a lefty, and we always suspect that if a left armer brings it into someone like Sharma,
yeah,
he's a goner in first few overs. Like if that's probably if left or right combination, do you think, or Shikhar Dhawan just didn't stand a chance in the squad?
Look, I think it's easy to kind of look back.
Shall we just go in the shade for a bit?
Yeah.
Yes, that's all good. Yeah, carry on.
It's easy to kind of speak in hindsight.
Yep.
What could have happened and stuff.
Yep.
I watched that spell live, and that was pretty phenomenal. I think even Shikhar Dhawan would have missed that full one up front. So yeah, you got to give credit to Pakistan the way they started. But yeah, in retrospect, now looking at that squad, you probably could have found space for Shikhar Dhawan there, and then you would have had that versatility of having some experience, like Rahul batting at 5 potentially, and giving you that, like I say, versatility. I think that could have been helpful when you lose a couple early, which is bound to happen.
When you play New Zealand, for example, then again Trent Boult brings it in. So if a left and right combination, you probably have a better chance. Do you think, or is it?
I think, yeah. Without a doubt, New Zealand's going to look to swing India out again.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And so that will be challenging. And New Zealand's got the wood over India in the recent past. So I think that will be interesting. They can't make any changes now, so they have to make do with what they've got. I've always felt they're top heavy.
Yes. And
they'll be banking on their top order to get that start. It hasn't happened this time. They'll be hoping like hell one of those two openers now gets started.
Okay, cool. Let's just get going. Yeah, I guess like if you look into sort of obviously they would have been if there's any swing, that's probably first 3, 4, 5 overs.
Yeah.
And both KL Rahul and Sharma they fall a little bit on the offside. I mean they're technically correct, but like you can see a gap. Even in England, like you can see there was a gap opening in between. But so how do you see it? Like say in New Zealand, for example, like obviously they will try to bring it in. And is there anything they can change in the batting order, or they just stick with it for the rest of the tournament?
You heard Kohli say that they're not going to press the panic buttons, and I don't think they can.
Yep.
Their top 3 is their top 3.
Yep.
Their big question marks are going to be around that middle order and the ability to adapt to the situation of the game. If they get off to a tricky start, how will they combat that explosive dynamicism that they bring under difficult circumstances? I think that'll be the big question mark, and it's pretty obvious to me that Kohli's gone, I'm going to drop anchor every game. All I need is guys who can clear the boundary, other 6-7 players. Obviously, Rohit Sharma will try and do that, or Rahul, but Kohli will probably drop anchor, and that'll be the way they play.
Okay. Yeah. So good thing is, not good thing actually, but I mean the good thing about the pool is now we've got three, obviously inexperienced teams in Afghanistan, Scotland, and Namibia.
Yeah.
So, but India's only playing one game at Sharjah, which is a high-scoring ground.
Yeah.
So I guess on that front, they probably need to, at the end of the back end of the World Cup, they probably need to play a catch-up in terms of the run rate.
Yeah, I'm not sure if net run rate is going to play too much of a part just yet. I don't think that'll be going through their minds. You could easily see Pakistan doing a similar kind of job on New Zealand, and they might top the table. And if all results remain equal, then it might just be a sudden death between New Zealand and India. That is it, right? So we don't know, but at the same time, Pakistan could easily have an off day against New Zealand, and it all could be down to them.
And I've got a feeling that because Afghanistan is playing New Zealand in a day game, and they can actually
can be challenging
on because at a night game, obviously it's pretty much the toss,
Yeah. I don't know. I thought New Zealand will come so organised and meticulous in their execution. I don't think the minnows will threaten them because they'll be so well prepared and they just execute. So I think that might be all right. But even last night's fixture, even last night's fixture, I thought when Imad Wasim slowed it up a touch, it actually gripped one or two.
Yes.
So I thought maybe it might be a 160 wicket.
Yes.
But it didn't seem like that at the end of it, towards the end. And that made me question, did India miss a trick by not having a Chahal or an Ashwin, a genuine spinner of the ball, who can try and see whatever purchase there might be?
Yeah, because I think I know there was when the other Chahal was dropped, the slow leggy.
Yeah.
They're saying that he's too slow, but if you look at the size of the boundaries, actually he would have been as effective because it's a lot slower,
Yeah.
Because you need to muscle it to, whereas the other Chakrabarti was quite quick.
Yeah.
So probably you've got pace on, and it probably helps,
Yeah, and I mean it's one game again, but they seem very one-dimensional. The Indian spin attack, last night's ones anyway.
Yes, yeah.
They have no real variety, and they went with 3 quicks, and when they didn't come off, it started looking like they didn't have many answers.
Yes.
Did you find it interesting that they went with quite a straight line and 2 men out on the leg side?
Yes, yeah. I guess they were just trying to replicate what Pakistan was trying early on,
Yeah.
And that's it's because I was when I was in a program the other day, and we were talking about, and I said Bhuvishna Kumar would probably be challenging because he actually swings the new ball.
Yeah.
And if he gets it right, you lose 2-3 wickets first up, and is a good outswinger. But I guess he was just not. It wasn't his day,
Well, he did swing the first one.
Yes,
he swung the second one as well. That went for a boundary. From there on, the impression I got was it was either a short boundary they were scared of, or they were afraid of giving width to Azam and Rizwan, and they wanted to tuck them up, and they ended up feeding into the slot.
Yes, fair.
And it took them away from Kumar's strength of swinging the ball.
Yep.
I saw a lot of slow balls and stuff too early.
They
didn't bowl hard length test match stuff that they're good at.
They didn't give it a chance to swing,
Yeah, they went to. I thought they went defensive too early, and then they just had no ways to get.
So now we've got 2 kind of more competitive games would be against, say, New Zealand and maybe Afghanistan could be challenging. So what changes do you think? Ishan Kishan, can we find a room for him, or?
I think you have to. You have to. Pandya needs to bowl.
Yep.
Pandya needs to bowl to give themselves another bowling option.
Yep.
And if he does, can they potentially do away with a seamer?
Yep.
And get Ashwin in?
Yes.
As a new ball, like a variety into there.
Yes.
because after that 8-over slot, it's the same kind of stuff with their quicks. There's no
Yes.
variety, no left arm options.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
There's
it's
no
gonna be-
express pace either. Like, if
No.
you're someone clocking 150, then that's again like could be an X factor at some stage.
Yeah, and they probably don't need it. I thought, again, this is only my opinion, but I thought towards the end of the game, they were executing pretty well. The seamers, they were
Yes, yeah.
other than Shami missing one,
Yeah.
they actually were hitting hole, bowling change ups nicely.
Yeah.
So it's their front six.
Is
They
the-
probably got it wrong there. There's no real variety.
Because if you're playing with three seamers, I guess like they're like I didn't feel like they tried to swing the ball as much as because as you said, like slow balls, as soon as you start mixing it up,
Too
you
early.
lose the swing eye,
Yeah.
and they probably
You've given it away. There's no comeback from it.
yes, yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah,
know, you
very
didn't really
cool.
give that thing enough chance to nick them off, and all you needed to do was 2 early ones.
Yeah.
The 150 would have been a 160, 170 score.
So they're playing New Zealand in at 3 a.m. New Zealand time, anyways. But it's a night game where the second innings still would be, with due probably. So how do you see overall? Like, can you see India making it to top 4?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think they've got an even shot.
Yep.
I think it'd be very silly for anyone to make a call
Yes.
after
One
one
game,
game.
yes, fair call, yeah.
And I think that applies to Pakistan as
Yeah,
well.
because
especially.
weather won't play any part there. Like it won't rain. They won't be. If we were playing the same tournament in England,
Yeah.
you can probably get unlucky, and you probably get a couple of rained off games
Yeah.
against weaker teams, and you lose the points and stuff. So weather probably hardly plays any part.
No.
Yeah.
The dew could play a part, and how well is a team going to adapt if the dew does play a part on that given day in
Yeah,
the
that's
second innings?
Very cool. But is that the reason the wrist spinner is probably not in the picture yet, or he was always the backup? Chaha.
I question, and I don't know the answer to this, but I question how much of it has got the lack of batting depth. They don't have a solid 8 that can clear the boundary. They don't have a Pat Cummins or Mitchell Stark kind of bowlers
Yes,
who can find the boundary.
I guess Thakur
Even
is,
Sohail Tanvir, if you remember in 2007.
Yes, yeah. So Thakur is probably your, he batted all right in England, so he's probably your best bet.
As you know very well, scoring a strike rate of 18 a test match is different to clearing and hitting sixes from
Very
ball
cool.
one
That's
in
very cool.
T20s. So I don't know if he's at that world class level. IPL, I'm sure, is great, but this is a different level of
Fair
cricket.
call, no, fair
Trent Bolt, Tim Southee, it won't be that straightforward, I think.
Yeah, so you reckon? I guess the good thing for India is the Kiwi bowlers, all of the bowlers actually play. Most of them actually have played in IPL.
Yeah.
So you kind of so with Pakistani bowler, they probably haven't faced them.
Yeah.
So I guess that sort of helps.
That swings both ways, though, eh?
No, that's
that
true. Yeah,
happens.
yes.
Bolt knows as much about Rohit Sharma as
fair
that
call.
he does about the bowler.
Yeah, fair cool.
But that was really good. Today's game looked like a PSL versus a IPL kind of thing,
And to be fair, if India was batting second, Pakistan batted first. Then to be fair, the second 10 overs of Pakistan batting, it looked like a lot. It would look like a different pitch.
Yeah.
The ball was coming out nice on the bat, and just everything kind of it was a different pitch for first innings, because when Pakistanis were hitting into the deck, it was stopping.
Yeah.
Or it was slowing down at least, and when India started doing it, and after 8 or 10 overs, it was nothing, no hold up.
Yeah,
Good pace.
Yeah, and then there's 2 points I raise. The express pace of Shaheen Shah Afridi, even in the first 10 overs of a second innings,
Yes,
he
yeah,
probably
been.
could have produced something. It reminds me a little bit of Nehra in that Durban game, in the 03 World Cup.
Yes, yeah, fair call.
They could
Steady.
still do
Yeah.
something
Yes, yeah, they
with
could
that
get-
extra zip.
Yeah, fair call. Yeah.
And then
Carry on.
it also makes you ask the question, does that mean teams batting first will go even harder and potentially risk the innings in trying to make up? If you lose the toss, you get put in, do you go, we need 180 plus because the dew is going to be a factor? Will you go too hard and
yeah,
potentially...
very cool. like South Africa today.
Yeah.
They played the day game, but they kind of went too hard early, and then it's no good.
So that's also interesting.
No, that's cool. So we'll I guess we think that India will make it to the top 4, either beating New Zealand, or I'm sure Afghanistan will either beat one of the 3 big teams,
You
I got that feeling, yeah, because they've got so much variation in their spin bowling. Like, if they put up 140 and get a couple of early wickets, you never know.
Yeah.
Cool, very cool. No worries. So we'll wind it up here. So Tarun thinks that India will make top 4, and I agree with him. I think they've got experience and enough sort of depth in their sort of I guess the batting and bowling. So we'll finish it here, and we'll get back to you with another episode soon. Thank you. Bye bye.